Tuesday, October 1st. Market analysis, Stan Ehrlich, and well. Start of October, and I've been talking about it for approximately 2 months. Has a history since 1993. There's only been 3 Octobers when there wasn't some sort of significant buying opportunity during the month of October. It could be the very first day, which is not going to be the case here, or it could be the very last day of October. But one of the 3 that missed was very late September, and the other 2, I think maybe another one late September, one early November, very much close to October. All of the other, over 90% of the Octobers since 1993 have produced some sort of significant buying opportunity. I'm not saying it went up a lot, and I'm not saying it lasted a long time. I'm only saying that October holds buying opportunities over 90% of the time. Many of those situations were like the last 2 years, which have been outstanding. We caught the very bottom of the bear market in 22. And last year, we caught the beginning of this bull market move in October of 23. So what's going to happen this month? Well, my minimum downside objective is 5460-ish on the E-mini, which has today a brand new ER sell signal. Timing couldn't, well, I could have had it a few weeks ago. Otherwise, 1st of October, bearish engulfing on 2 of my major indexes, the NASDAQ and the E-mini. Bearish engulfing near the lows, new lows for approximately 6 to 8 days, all of a sudden. Too bad it's not the highest high, but it's the high today is very close to that highest high, which was last Thursday. 9 was 11, I think. Get rid of this message. And 926. So let's look at the detail. We've already had a small day trade profit on the scalp, ER1 scalp. ER1 overnight is the green trade line, as you can see, moving around with the current quote. Small profit at the moment. I think we're going to say new lows before the end of the day, and I think it's going to drop off fairly sharply. Now, we all have our guesses or expectations as to why the market's dropping off, maybe trouble in the Middle East, maybe there's other reasons that you are not familiar with, besides what's popular on the news, but I don't care. October holds a major buying opportunity, just too often to ignore. So, in my opinion, we're going down, and we just started essentially last Thursday, but this day, today, holds very important price range movement. New lows for several days in the spider, but no bearish engulfing, and we did not get quite overbought during the last several days. Only one day, and that was the 19th, almost the top of the market, and it was not a signal. It was just an overbought condition, which of course is part of my ERSignals. Next, we've got the details on a 5-minute chart on a spider, and I'm showing you all the way back to the beginning of August and a little bit in the end of July. So you got a full month plus, 2 months plus of 5-minute data, and the dip so far is significant because it's broken lows of the last week plus, but there's a ways more to go. So how far down are we going to go in October? I think there's a very, very good chance it could be at 538, give or take. I'll call it 540. But I certainly can't rule out a test of the lows that we had way back in the beginning of August, and that's around 510. So I think there's a lot of elbow room to the downside, and we are just starting. Next, QQQ. Overbought, including today, last 4 days, including today, in a resistance area, and it's turned down significantly, made new lows for over a week and a half. And staying relatively close to those lows, where are we going to go? 450 for the first downside objective. And the next one is pretty significant. Let's say 422 down to 413 in that area. That's my maximum downside objective at this particular point, 413. Next chart is the QQQ 5-minute. And you can see we just plain nosedived this morning in the first hour or two. Big move down. And big for the last week and a half. So we banged into some support. No surprise, bouncing. But it appears we're heading toward the lows again and could make new lows soon. Here is the daily data chart on the NASDAQ, which does have a bearish engulfing ER sell signal today. We have already had a small day trade scalp and a position trade on its way south. We've got the RSI overbought 2 days ago and 3 days ago, which is within the realm of time. I look back for overbought conditions, and now the bearish engulfing finishes the signal. I hope it continues to work great. At least as good as the one we had on August 22nd, very possibly as good as the one we had on July 11th. There are a few signals that didn't work, and we had a small day trade loss or small losses or small profits, but nothing particularly great. Not like that top and that bottom and that high, and this low rate recently was almost the lowest low. So here we go. Again, I'm looking for about 18,655-ish for the first downside objective on the NASDAQ futures, and very possibly down to 17,640. 5-minute chart. Looks like it's going to make new lows again. It's turned red to the 5-minute mark when we have the signal completed. One green line, the one that's out right there, is our scalp day trade profit. End of story. Got short for ER1 overnight, which is still on the books. Stop is way up here at the moment. I could drop it way down here if I wanted. I'm going to leave it alone for the default. Next chart. YM Dow Jones futures. Inside trading range day, stopped at yesterday's low. So far, in particular, very prominent information today, the YM or the Dow Jones is holding up, not dropping below previous lows as easily, as quickly as all the other indexes. So you should expect that probably the Dow will hold up on the average on the way down, but I still have a downside objective at a minimum of 46,780, let's say 46.80. And I'm not ruling out at all the range around 39,038. And even, 39 flat, that'll do. 39 flat, right in there. Bunch of lows, good. The 5-minute chart on the YM hit support, bounced off of it. The support is from 1, 2, 3, 4 days ago, 5, 6, 7, or 8 days, 9 days ago. Very nice little range. I don't think it's going to hold. I think we're going to break through it, and maybe yet today. And this week, now that we're only on Tuesday, could be a big week down. Next chart, Russell, new lows for even longer periods of time. What can I say? Basically the same thing for the other indexes. Downside objective in the ballpark of 2,100, and I can't rule out 1993, 94. And the 5-minute chart on the Russell, big break. Now, bonds popped up more than I would have expected. It's not out of the realm of allowable rally, but I am looking for it to come down again to this yellow line. I am looking for a bottom in October, and I am looking for prices to drop down into the green circle, which means below 120.20. And we're at 125.14. That's a pretty darn good break. Then bottoming out and going up much, much higher. Let's see if we get a low in October, somewhere where I think it's going to be price-wise, and of course time-wise, And then I'll start detailing the double shoulder, head and shoulder bottom formation, both in bonds and in 10-year notes. This is the notes. So for both of these, I am looking for a larger break to the downside. Notes, I think they're going to get down to 111.09, let's say, maybe even as low as 109.12, but still in October. Okay, energies, crude. A whopping big outside up day, bullish engulfing, except it wasn't oversold. So I'm not getting a green bar. We did have oversold conditions at a little bit lower levels in the support area on 9/11 around that date. Today's low is bouncing right off of a support area that I've had in here for I don't know how long, many months. So I think this is going to start to rally even more. Now, again, Middle Eastern pipeline, oil, all kind of, meshed together. So I think, and I'm not a fundamentalist, I nickname sometimes fundamentalists, but it seems to match. Makes sense to me. I never try, I don't never, but I usually don't try to come up with reasons why the market does what it does. Sometimes you'll never find out the reason. Next, we've got natural gas. I think it's going to break support. What have I got here? A 5-minute chart? That's no good. Let's go back to daily. Thank you very much. Okay. At resistance, managed to poke up above the resistance level a little bit the last couple of days, but it dropped back into it today. I don't know. It's hanging in there pretty good. Only down a few ticks. My minimum upside objective has not yet been fulfilled, and I am recalculating some strategies, so my mouse is frozen up for another 15 seconds or so. I apologize. Okay, there we go. So now the upside objective is 3.111, and I think we're going to get there. I see no reason why not, even if there is a minor downside correction in the interim. Buy signal at the bottom, just great. And a week later, another one. This is a double bottom formation, which we broke out of to the upside just a few days ago on September 23rd. There's nothing wrong with what's happening here. This is acting textbook. Next. We have a minor new high for about 2 or 3 weeks, 3 or 4 weeks maybe, about 4 weeks actually, in the heating oil, maybe for the same Middle Eastern uneasy situation. It's a very big bullish engulfing, but not oversold, therefore not green. Now, I've been talking about a rally anyway, up to 2.26 to begin with, and here it comes. And we're already kind of halfway up there already. Bing, super fast. Now, let's see what happens when it gets to resistance. I might be able to justify a significant amount more of a rally, but I'm looking for, 2.26 first, and, maybe up to 2.29. Next is gold, silver, platinum, copper. And we had some great signals in copper. We'll see if they're working. Big, big bearish one a couple of days ago. Gold, rally. This chart continues to act bullish. You've got a classic upside breakout. I said so on that day, even though I didn't want that to happen. I had to go with what I was looking at. The market got overbought. Then it pulled back almost exactly where you would expect it to pull back to. Turned right around, made new highs again, got overbought a few days ago, slipped back a little bit, and now we're trying to make new highs again. That's not particularly bearish action. So only if it breaks down real bad all of a sudden today in particular, because we're higher than yesterday's high, and we have a bearish engulfing, that would generate a new sell signal, a bearish ER sell signal. But it hasn't happened, and it's not even close to it. We're up and above yesterday's high and real close to the high of the day and the high of the whole move. So I got to be friendly here. I'm not sure about how much higher, but I'm waiting for bearish engulfing sell signals. Next, silver. Not quite the same, but very similar. New highs in resistance, overbought, pull back, and now trying to make higher highs than yesterday. Didn't quite do it. I guess it's going to come up to the resistance area again. I'm not getting any sell signals. I'm not getting much downside follow through. I got to be a little friendly on silver at this point, but I got to remind you, I could get a sell signal anytime. We were overbought and resistance. Next, we were not quite overbought, but in resistance on platinum. It has done the same thing silver has done, pulled back out of resistance, but no particular signals, no indication this could come up into resistance again, maybe above 1030 a little bit again. But it's a very, very strong resistance area. We'll see what happens if we get a little bit more strength. I really can't come up with something today. Sorry. Next, copper. Yesterday's bearish engulfing on copper was a big, big reversal. We have not rallied enough to get ER3 on the books, a new short, at that little tiny red line right there. But ER1s certainly got in the game yesterday, and I can see green little dots here representing an ER1 profitable trade. And I think we already got stopped out with a very small profit, very small break even on ER1 overnight. So now we're flat again. If I had changed my stop on ER1 overnight to make it go move down a lot slower, then it would probably be still in the trade. But, I have to use defaults unless I tell you otherwise in order to not mislead. Next, soybeans, soybean oil, corn, wheat, cattle, and hogs, and then we'll check out E-mini at the very end again. Overbought conditions started a little bit of a dip in soybeans, but the bigger picture is slowly adding up to a little bit more bullish situation, but I really can't get bullish. All I can do is tell you there's a good chance it can get up to this 110234 that I've been talking about for weeks. We did get a buy signal almost exactly on the bottom and a small sell signal that worked for a couple of days during the rally. But now we got overbought, and maybe there's a little more technical downside correction to maybe 1031, but that's very iffy. I could just as easily say we're about to make new highs, and I think we will, whether it's today or this week, but very soon. And I'm looking for 11 and a few ticks, a few pennies. Soybean oil. We had a great sell signal that worked extremely well for 24 hours, and then got a little strength coming in, and we have a little more follow through today. And the rally today has been enough to get short at around the middle of the range of last Thursday, which was the bearish engulfing sell signal. So now we have ER3 scalps and overnights with a probable small little loss at the moment. We got short about 43.78, and it's 44 flat at the moment. So let's see it turn around and head south. That's exactly what I'm expecting, and real quickly. Otherwise, we're going to take a little loss. That's what your stops are for, at least initially. Next, soybean meal, upside follow through, getting overbought and fairly substantially so at 80, 79.98. And I think it's about to turn back down again. Now, this is an outside trading range day, but it's outside up. That means a bullish engulfing. And in overbought conditions, I need to have a bearish engulfing, meaning an outside down close, lower close, not higher, which is this very strong new high ground near the high of the day, probably going to stay in this ballpark price level, and it's not a sell signal. I've seen these happen many times, but not quite sure how to handle it. And I nicknamed a outside up day when you're overbought as being a bass-ackwards reversal, because they just sometimes go straight down. We'll have to see about tomorrow. Corn, overbought, in resistance, hasn't broken through resistance yet. So good chance it could flounder here and turn around and slip back down somewhat. But very, very slowly, I'm more interested in talking about some sort of upside. But bear markets, we haven't got enough bottom building activity, in my opinion, to turn it into a bull trend. We need more time and or more upside movement. Basically, more upside movement. Faster, bigger, better. Next is wheat. Also a new high, coming up to that first resistance I was talking about, excuse me, for a long time. And that means we're supposed to get to 615 and maybe 625. Especially if we're overbought, I'd be looking for the end of the rally at the moment, short-term rally, and see what happens next. So we got a bottom buy signal to the exact low day. You know, if you've been watching almost my 500 YouTubes, you can go back to any particular day you want and watch them again, of course, that I frequently have a green or red buy or sell signal, green being buy, obviously, red meaning sell, on the exact high or low day of significant consequence off into the future. When this August 27th bullish engulfing happened, I don't think I talked about the market coming all the way up to here. Maybe I did, but what I did not know is that it was going to be as profoundly friendly as we have seen so far. And then we got another bullish one here also. So far we got the bottom. That's all I can tell you. There's nothing wrong with that. Next, double bottom formation, upside breakout occurred back here on September 20th, and we are just simply getting closer to finishing the objective, which now for weeks I've been talking about, coming up to 186. Very simple formation to come up with an objective. This is working just great. It's still overbought, so I'm still very fearful that it would have a sell signal any moment, any day now, and it hasn't. And here's a new high again. And we're up at 82 on the RSI and having been to 85. Now, I start screaming bloody murder when it gets to 90, saying it's going to turn around and go back down very, very soon. So I'm kind of on the verge of that, but I'm also kind of on the verge of getting to my objective. So maybe it'll just pop up to the objective and then get even more overbought and finally turn. Next chart. We got hogs. We got an outside down day. Just a moment. Yeah, that was cattle. Did I skip over cattle? No, I didn't. That was cattle, yeah. Upside objective almost being fulfilled. Overbought, yeah, okay. Hogs. Today we got above, it looks like the high of the bearish engulfing 2 days ago on Friday of last week, which is a no-no. And as a result, we're stopped out of any lingering previous shorts, but we should be out probably sooner than that because my 3 scalp, which got short today, has a much faster declining buy stop for short positions, but I don't see it on a daily data chart very accurately. There is a little red dotted line, means you're losing trade. I do see that we have a red arrow, meaning we went short. I do see we have a green arrow, which means we bought it. And pretty obviously, we shorted on the rally, but it kept rallying, and then we got stopped out by buying it back. So that's the story. Now, the overnight trade also probably got bumped out. We'll see tomorrow. I'll talk about it in more detail. Back to the E-mini. Oh, my goodness gracious. Great balls of fire. We have almost a new low for the move down. Spend a minute on this. Almost new lows. There's my new short today, doing a little bit better. As I said, I think we're going to see no new lows. What about the NASDAQ new short trade? Same story. You guys have a great day and profitable trading to you.